Greetings everyone. I had a question about the speakers I use for the amp tests. After the last video I had a couple questions, and I've had some questions in the past, so I thought it would be a good time to make a video. Well, these speakers are do-it-yourself home-built speakers. I built these about 8 years ago, 2010. And you can see they do have a kind of amateur do-it-yourself quality to them. I am not a woodworker. It's the first time I stained anything. And they're okay, I guess, as far as look goes. I do like the light and dark alternating trim around the edge. It's just butt jointed plywood, 3/4 inch plywood. The cabinet volume is 1.5 cubic feet, which is, it's going to be 40 something liters. I don't know the exact conversion. It's what I call a mid-size speaker. It's not a large speaker. Once you get over a cubic foot of internal volume, I consider it a medium-sized speaker. Under that, it's a small speaker. But, you know, it's just my criteria. It's not anybody else's. It's just something I use. Once you get over 2 cubic feet, you're getting into definitely a larger speaker. But, you know, this is a mid-size bookshelf type speaker, I would say. It has a 10-inch driver, and this is a tweeter, a horn tweeter. I believe it's a Pioneer brand. Very efficient. I had to pat it down so it wouldn't overrun the woofer. So I did a lot of tuning to get it right. I used box modeling software. I bought the driver from Parts Express. The neat thing about them is they include the teal and small parameters, or the TS parameters. You know, it looks like it would be pronounced Thiel, but I guess it's actually pronounced teal after the guy's name who developed the speaker parameters many years ago. Anyway, you plug those parameters into a software program, and it'll help you design the proper cabinet size, and you tell it what port diameter you want, and it'll tell you the length and everything. And doing that, you can build a really nice speaker, and you can tune it the way you want. You know, a lot of times people want a little... Okay, apologies for that. The air conditioner turned on. I have to remember to turn the thing off before I start shooting a video, because, you know, it's right behind me there. So anyway, people might want a little peak in the bass before it rolls off. You don't want that peak to be too high, like above 50 hertz, so your speaker sounds more boomy. You want more of a peak in the I'd say around 40, you know, under 50, where you get the powerful bass. But one problem in doing that, you know, after that peak it rolls off quick. I wanted a flat bass response that would just start to roll off in a ported design. I wanted the efficiency of a ported design, but I wanted, you know, a nice smooth roll off. Of course, it's going to roll off faster than a sealed speaker, but it's going to be more efficient bass. So that was my criteria. You know, nowadays I like a dome tweeter and a sealed cabinet. it's just something I kind of moved towards. But for these, you know, I am a low power amp guy. I'm not into big high power amps. I like listening using lower power amps. So I wanted a little more efficiency out of a... Yeah, I didn't want a real small box. I wanted a mid-size speaker. That wouldn't take up too much room. It would do the job. No idea what the actual efficiency is. I would guess it'd be around 92, 93. It couldn't be much more than that, given the size of the drivers. Now, I don't have all the equipment to test speakers. I kind of have to tune them by ear. You know, I can't measure the actual efficiency. I know there's stuff out there, but you know, at this point in time, I'm not into building speakers anymore. I've got what I want, and I've moved on. So, yeah, I'm pretty much done building speakers. I will say that these are not my main listening speakers. I found a pair of Boston Acoustics A100s, older speakers from the 80s. They're really well designed, well regarded, and popped up on Craigslist for $70. And I figured, well, I better try those. Well, put it this way, I'll never sell those speakers. They're just wonderful sounding speakers. I'll make a video on those at some point, but you know, that's all I'll say about them. And these have been relegated to just testing amplifiers now. Here's the speaker with the grill removed. I really like this look. That's the original way I intended it to be, but I decided, well, I better get some sort of protection on it. So I went with these grills. I'm not really fond of the look of the grills, but you know, around here those drivers would end up damaged without some sort of protection. So I went with the grills. And here is the driver removed. Like I say, it is a 10-inch driver. And look at this magnet. It's got a pretty massive magnet for being a 10-inch driver. And you might see this here. It's a Goldwood sound. And you might say, oh, aren't they junk? Well, I will admit that I'm not impressed with most of the drivers in their line, but everybody seems to have one good driver that does the trick. And this happens to be a very good driver. It's got a low QTS. Yeah, I'm not going to get into what all that stuff is, but yeah, it has a very low QTS, which works in my design here. Here's the speaker. It's got stuffing, and it's braced front to back. And you can't see it. There's the crossover. There's a coil and capacitor, resistor. I don't remember all the details of it. It's been a while. So I guess now I'll put it back together and give you a little listening example. Okay, so what I'll do now is try to capture the sound of the speakers the best I can. Now I realize, unless you're in the same room and listening to the speakers directly, you're not really going to get the proper representation of their sound. So I'm going to use my Olympus PCM recorder, uncompressed wave, and though the problem is when I bring it into the video editor, I just use Movie Maker, and the best you can get is 192 bitrate MP3 type sound. But you know, it'll do the job, I think. You will, of course, get the room acoustics and everything like that. Like I say, it's not going to be a perfect representation of what the speakers sound like. And you know, it goes to the video editing, compression, and then YouTube gets it and does their thing to it. So you know, we can do as good as we can. And if I didn't say so, I will. I'm not using any enhancements to the sound. I'm just recording it flat levels. Amplification, I'll just use my little TDA 7268 stereo mini amplifier here. That'll be plenty loud enough for this. This will be set for low, and if I go any louder, it'll start overdriving it, and I'll set this thing up on a tripod and give you some music samples.
I can't afford the best of life. I'm just a hard